I wasn't failing everything, just her class. Advanced literature. Third semester. The only one standing between me and keeping my scholarship. The first essay I submitted got a C-. The second one, a D+. By the time midterms came around, I knew I was drowning. It didn't help that Ms. Renner had a face like stone and a voice that made even Shakespeare sound like a warning. She never raised her tone, never smiled too wide, never lost control of the room. She wore her glasses like armor, thin black frames that sat just low enough on her nose to let her look over them when she was disappointed. And she was often disappointed with me. I don't even know why I stayed after class that day. I should have just cut my losses and dropped the course. But something about the way she looked at me when she handed back my latest paper, her fingers brushing mine for half a second, the faintest pause, made me freeze. The room emptied slowly. I stuffed my things into my backpack and slung it over my shoulder. She stood at her desk, reorganizing a stack of essays like she had all the time in the world. I hesitated in the doorway. Ms. Renner. Her eyes didn't lift. Mr. Hale. I know I'm probably out of chances, but I rubbed the back of my neck. Is there any way I could redo the last paper? Or do extra credit? Silence. Then she looked up. Her expression was unreadable. Why now? I swallowed. Because I need this class to stay enrolled. Her gaze held mine for a second longer than I expected. Then she returned to the papers. I don't offer makeups lightly, and I don't believe in last-minute effort. I'm not asking for a handout, just a chance. She set her pen down. Stay after next class. 10 minutes. We'll talk then. That was all. No smile. No nod. Just that. But for the next 2 days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Thursday. Class ended at 5:10. Everyone filed out like usual, dragging tired feet and half-zipped bags. I stayed seated. Ms. Renner didn't say a word until the last student disappeared into the hallway. Then she closed the door, firm, not loud, and turned back to face me. Take a seat by my desk. I did. The chair across from her creaked slightly as I sat. She studied me for a long moment. Your writing's not bad, but it's guarded. You write like someone who doesn't want to be seen. I blinked. That's kind of personal. I teach literature. All of it is personal. Her tone was calm, but not cold. She removed her glasses, briefly rubbed the bridge of her nose, then placed them back on. You want another shot? I nodded. Then you'll come here, same time, same place, 3 sessions. No reschedules. You'll rewrite your analysis from scratch. And this time you'll say something real. I nodded again. Deal. She glanced down at my original paper. You wrote this like you were afraid I'd read it. Maybe I was. She didn't smile, but something in her jaw loosened. I'll see you Monday, she said, turning back to her notes. I left the classroom in a strange daze. Not because she'd agreed, but because, for the first time, I felt like she'd actually seen me. I showed up early the following Monday. Not because I wanted to impress her, but because I didn't want to walk in late and see that look on her face. The look she gave when someone wasted her time. The classroom was dark when I arrived. I leaned against the wall across the hall, glancing at the time on my phone every 30 seconds. At exactly 5:05, the door opened. She stepped out, locked eyes with me, and nodded slightly before walking in without a word. I followed. The lights were still off except for the desk lamp on the far side of the room. The overhead fluorescence stayed off. It felt less like a classroom and more like a private study now. Quieter, smaller, dimmer. She was already seated by her desk. Her bag was on the floor, a yellow legal pad in front of her, a red pen resting beside it. Her glasses reflected the lamplight. Sit. Her voice was even not unfriendly. I pulled the chair closer. Did you bring the original paper? I pulled it from my folder and handed it over. She glanced at it, then set it aside without reading. I don't care what you wrote the first time. I frowned. Then why ask for it? Because I want you to see the difference afterward. There was something unsettling about how she said it. Not harsh, just matter of fact. Like this was already decided, and I had no say in how it would go. She handed me a clean sheet of paper. Not my laptop. Not notes. Just lined paper and a pencil. Write the same analysis again. But this time, say what you meant. I stared at the blank page. I don't even know what I meant. Yes, you do. You just never said it out loud. I looked at her, surprised by the softness in her tone. And if I screw it up again? I asked. She finally took off her glasses. Slowly, deliberately, she folded them and set them on the desk beside the lamp. Her eyes looked different without them. Clearer, sharper, but also somehow more human. No more excuses, she said. It didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a challenge. I looked down at the paper. My hand hovered over the first line. Then, reluctantly, I started to write. The clock ticked. The silence in the room wasn't oppressive. It was focused. She didn't interrupt, didn't pace. She just sat back in her chair, arms crossed loosely, watching me. 10 minutes, then 20. After a while, I forgot where I was. I forgot about the grade, the pressure, the course requirements. I just wrote. When I looked up, she hadn't moved. But something in her posture had changed. She was leaning slightly forward now, elbows on the desk, her chin resting on her hand. She noticed me watching her and tilted her head slightly. You always write like that? Like what? Like the page might judge you. I set the pencil down. Maybe I'm just not used to being honest on paper. She smiled, just a little. No one is. Not at first. The air between us felt thicker now. Not tense, but charged. I looked at her glasses on the desk. You ever take those off in class? Never. Why now? She paused. Then softly, because I needed you to look at me, not just listen. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. Next session's Wednesday, she said, putting her glasses back on. The room shifted again, snapping back into place like nothing had happened. But something had. Wednesday came too fast. Or maybe I'd been thinking about it too much. I hadn't told anyone about the extra sessions. Not because I was ashamed, but because I didn't know how to explain it. It didn't feel like tutoring, and it didn't feel like punishment. It felt like something else. I walked into the room just after 5. Same dim lighting, same desk lamp. Ms. Renner was already seated, sleeves rolled up, a different blouse this time, dark blue, soft collar. Her hair was down, not in its usual tight twist. She looked up when I entered. You're early. So are you. She didn't respond, just motioned toward the seat across from her. I sat, unfolded the new draft of my essay, and slid it toward her. She didn't pick it up right away. Instead, she asked, "Do you believe what you wrote?" I blinked. Yeah. Why? Because it's what I really think about the story. She leaned back, arms crossed lightly. No. I mean, do you believe what you wrote about yourself? That threw me. I didn't think I was writing about myself. You were. Her voice was quiet, measured, but the words hit with precision. You said the character hides behind metaphor because he's afraid of saying what he really wants. That he filters everything through interpretation so no one sees his actual desire. I felt heat rise to my face. You meant that, didn't you? I hesitated. Yeah, I guess I did. She finally picked up the pages. Read the first paragraph in silence. Then the second. She stopped at the third. You wrote this sentence. Some truths can't survive being spoken out loud. She looked at me. What were you talking about? I shrugged. A lot of things. Pick one. Her eyes were locked on mine now, and there was no classroom left between us, no desks, no syllabus, no grading rubric. Just a woman asking a man to stop hiding. I guess, I said slowly, I meant how sometimes you feel something for someone, and the second you say it, it's ruined. A pause. Long. Still. Her voice softened. Do you feel that now? I didn't answer right away. The room felt hot suddenly, like the lamp had grown brighter. Yeah, I said, quietly. She set the pages down, folded her hands in her lap. You're not a boy anymore, Mr. Hale. I met her eyes. I know. Her expression didn't change, but something inside it did. Tension broke, or shifted. You don't look at me like one either, she added. I let that sit for a moment. Then, have you noticed? She nodded. Since the third week of class. I swallowed. Why didn't you say anything? Because it wasn't my place. And because I thought it would pass. But it didn't. No, she said. It didn't. She stood slowly, walked to the window, and pulled the blinds halfway shut. The room dimmed further. Then she turned back, eyes on mine. When you said some truths can't survive being spoken, you were wrong. She walked toward me, unhurried. I didn't move. She stopped beside the desk, close enough that I could smell the faint trace of lavender from her blouse. Her voice lowered. They don't die when they're spoken. What happens then? I asked. They become real. Her fingers rested lightly on the edge of the desk. Are you afraid of that? She asked. I looked up at her. Not anymore. She paused, then reached slowly for her glasses. Removed them again, second time now. And for some reason, it hit harder this time. She set them down without breaking eye contact. No more excuses, she said again. But this time it wasn't about my essay. This time it was about her. And me. And the space between us that was no longer wide enough to hide in. She didn't move after saying it. No more excuses. I sat there, pulse loud in my ears, barely breathing. She stood so close I could feel the warmth from her skin, the soft scent of lavender, the hush of fabric shifting with her breath. I could have said something. I could have laughed it off, changed the subject, cracked a joke. But I didn't, because whatever had been hiding behind polite glances and graded essays had now stepped into the light. Glasses off, distance closed. She slowly walked around the side of the desk. Not fast, not teasing, just deliberate, like she'd decided on something and was giving me time to understand it. You think I don't know what I'm doing, don't you? She asked softly. I looked up. I think you always know exactly what you're doing. That made her pause. Her eyes studied mine again, this time not as a teacher, just as a woman, standing in front of someone who had stopped pretending. There's a reason I wear the glasses, she said. They're not just for reading. Why then? They keep people where they belong. I swallowed. And where do I belong? She didn't answer right away. Then, that's what I'm trying to figure out. She sat on the edge of the desk, right in front of me, not touching, just waiting. I've spent years being the one who keeps everything proper, she said. Every button closed, every tone measured, every desk exactly between me and everyone else. You do it well. Her lips curved slightly. Too well, maybe. Her eyes dropped to my hand resting on my leg. And for a moment she didn't move. Neither did I. But the air between us was almost unbearable now. When she looked back up, her voice was lower. Honest. You're not the first student who looked at me that way, but you're the first who didn't pretend it wasn't real. I wanted to say something, to tell her I hadn't meant for any of this to happen, but that I also didn't want to leave it behind. She reached out slowly and placed her hand over mine. Firm. Warm. "This doesn't go outside this room," she said. "I know. No one finds out. They won't." She leaned in slightly and I did the same. We didn't kiss. Not yet. But it was there, in the breath, the pause, the silence so thick you could feel it on your skin. Then the door creaked. We both froze. Footsteps outside. A voice, Mr. Kelly, the admin, probably doing a late sweep. She stood quickly, smoothing her blouse, stepping back into the light of the desk lamp. The moment snapped like thread. A knock on the door. "You two still in here?" Ms. Renner's voice was calm, practiced. "Just finishing a tutoring session. Almost done." "All right. Lock up when you leave." The footsteps faded. She looked at me. Her glasses were still off. Her face was unreadable again, but only because she was trying hard to make it so. "I shouldn't have let it get that far," she said. "But you did." She looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "Yes, I did." We didn't say goodbye. I packed my bag, quietly, and walked to the door. Before I left, I turned back. She was still by the desk, staring at the papers, her glasses beside her, untouched. "Ms. Renner," I said. She looked up. "I meant what I wrote. All of it." She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. "Then it was worth reading." I left. I didn't sleep much that night. My mind looped through every second of what had happened. Every word, every silence, every glance. The next class, I showed up early again. Sat in the front. She walked in 2 minutes before the hour. Professional, composed, glasses on, hair up. A full return to the version of her the school knew. But when she passed by my desk to begin the lecture, she paused, barely half a second, and let her fingers tap once against the edge of mine. It was the smallest thing, but it was real. No one else noticed. No one else needed to. And for now, that was enough.